Alrighty then, here it is. This is the current results from Pennsylvania, and they've been able to make up their nearly 800,000 vote deficit by plugging in pre-manufactured Biden ballots. This is all, of course, being contested by Rudy Giuliani, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And also, let's see, I'm just going to be doing this too. This is, that's me. I'm just going to keep that and do that too. So, I don't know exactly how this is going to work, but anyway. Oh, it's hard for me to get this thing figured out. I am going to, there it is. Okay. And then let's see, view, float on top. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, so let's go to Rudy. So let's hear what Rudy has to say with regards to this. And there he is. Hello.
You are poorly served, ladies and gentlemen of Philadelphia. And then you got a political machine. Mayors who let riots take place, district attorneys who set criminals free. I don't think they're going to care much about ballot fraud. This is outrageous. In an enormously important contest with a very, very suspect method of voting, there was no security. Zero. The people of this city, people of this country, have no assurance at all that those ballots were actually cast. They would have to have been almost unanimously cast for Joe Biden in order to catch up.
Okay, so there's that. So you should really listen to this. I'm going to let you. It's Rudy Giuliani. The mainstream news media, they did not let you see the vote. I mean, they didn't let you see this news conference in its entirety. They just started it out and then they shut it down. He brings up Corey Lewandowski and other observers that were authorized observers from the Republicans were not allowed into where they're counting the votes at the county elections there, and they even put up cardboard in certain places in Detroit. I mean, it's outrageous. I've been investigating this stuff for 20 years. I first went in and was a poll watcher in 2000 because I was running for state rep in the state of Oregon. And I think I got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 16,000 votes. I had been on television in the area for quite some time doing my little public access entertaining shows. People would recognize me in public a lot because they found my shows rather entertaining. I think they still are. So anyway, but they've been blocking me. They blocked me on my YouTube channels. I was on YouTube earlier than most in 2007, so 13 years I've been blocked. I've been blocked. You know, people talk about censorship, having their channels removed. They're pikers compared to what I've had to deal with. My channels are still up, but they're not inconsequential because they essentially hide them. I figured out one thing about with regards to the codes. They'll put the code of like I'm looking at this video right here. They'll put an S, a small S, after, and they'll put an and sign and then a separate code after that to keep people from watching it. So what you want to do if you want to try and find one of my videos, go up to the little, the address thing where it says youtube.com/watch and that sort of thing. And then just copy the link up to the 11 digits after the equal sign. Don't copy anything after that. Don't copy the part that's after the and sign. Or even don't even copy the and sign. Then you can maybe watch it. But they're just hiding everything. This is big tech is involved in this. The news media is completely involved in it. I've known for 10 years that the news media is involved in it. I managed a political campaign for a woman named Lopez in Oregon. On election night, they didn't even put Lopez's name. She was the Republican nominee. They didn't even put her name, her picture, anything about her up on the screen as they were reporting the election results, because they didn't want to alienate her Hispanic uh, um, constituents in that district in Portland, because they wanted the Hispanics to still think they should vote for Earl Blumenauer, who's the one who stole her election votes, and they rigged it for him, as they do for every one of them. Just go back in history. We've got 20 years of history in Oregon. Every congressional seat, except for the one that's out in eastern Oregon, where they're all diehard patriot conservatives, and it's far too difficult for them to rig every one of the tiny little rural counties. So they simply rig the urban counties. They've got plenty of people's identities, dead people, people who have moved out of the city, dogs, cats, long dead relative, underage children, cartoon characters, illegal aliens, to plug into the system to make sure that that person wins. Then when their people win 70-30. Look at it every year: 70-30, 70-30, 70 Democrat, 30 Republican. Every year, 20 years since they've been doing all vote by mail fraud. There are no polling places in Oregon, just as there are no polling places in several other states, including Colorado, Washington. Every state that goes to all vote by mail fraud are all now Democrat blue states, reliably so. But somebody's been listening to me. Somebody's been getting my videos. Somebody's been paying attention to what's been going on, and that I've been screaming about. I feel like I'm screaming in the dark because I've been so censored. But what they found is that that they got them. They got proof, apparently, and I want to show you how I believe they've got proof that the Trump administration has been letting them just step in it, just soak themselves in corruption, and just self-incriminate themselves by trying to rig this election. And they've got them dead to rights because they have a watermark on the legitimate ballots, and so they're going to know exactly which ballots were legitimate and which were illegitimate when this whole process is over, and a lot of people are going down. Yes! All I've ever wanted was true, honest elections. I've not made a dime on any of my investigations. I mean, who's going to pay me to investigate election fraud? I mean, really? I don't even ask for donations. I've got a blog, conservativelisa.blogspot.com. That's conservativelisa.blogspot.com if you want to see all my research going back to 2009. I started the blog, and it's pretty much been hidden, and you know, I mean, heck, it's run by Google, so probably should have gotten a different one. But anyway, I've had to run for office 6 times. I've ordered and overseen 3 hand recounts. I sued Secretary of State Kate Brown to force her to follow election law in order to prevent them from rigging the 2012 election. And my lawyer was the brilliant Yale trained attorney James Buechel, who's the Republican chair of Multnomah County, Oregon right now. And we had a packed courtroom. The news media completely didn't discuss it. Here he is, the nominee, the write-in nominee for Attorney General of Oregon that year. And he's facing 3 of his political opponents' attorneys in the courtroom for a full day. We presented all this evidence I got under the Delia Lopez recount and campaign. And the crooked judge sided with them and said that the Secretary of State has the right to do whatever she wants to with regards to handling the elections, despite any laws that were enacted by the duly elected state legislature before they put in all vote by mail fraud system. So here is Steve Pieczenik. Let's hear what he has to say. Hope you can hear this.
Civilian community in the government who understood exactly how corrupt Biden and the Democratic machinery was, and will be. This is really a sting operation. Contrary to what everybody else said, Trump knew this was happening. Eric knew this was happening and warned the public. I knew this was happening. What happened was we watermarked every ballot with what's called the QFS blockchain encryption code. In other words, we know pretty well where every ballot is, where it went, and who has it. So this is not a stolen election. On the contrary, we reversed the entire game of war along the lines of Sun Tzu. In the art of the war, you pull back, allow your enemy to make all the mistakes that they are making, manipulate the situation, expose them, and then come in for the final killing. And that's what's happening now. None of this was unexpected. All of this was expected. All of this is part of the sting operation we're running. And let me tell you that we have sent out thousands and thousands of National Guards to 12 different states: Washington, Delaware, Texas, Arizona, Alabama, and everywhere. It's not a civil war. We have not been surprised in any way. This has been a setup by Trump for a long, long time. The corruption in the mail, the corruption of USPS, corruption with the Democrats, everywhere and anywhere. There was no surprise here. And that's why we deployed National Guard soldiers to 12 different states.
Steve, following your logic here, I mean, are arrests inevitably coming down the road?
Yeah. They're coming not just down the road, they're being implemented. This is the biggest sting operation probably in our country that we've ever had.
Okay, so that just thrilling. Just thrilling. I have documented proof in my part 2, and if you haven't had an opportunity, go to this my YouTube channel, Lisa Michaels, and this picture. I've got different headshots. The other ones are black and white from way back in the day when I was a young girl and trying to be an actress in LA. Okay, so go to this one. It's Lisa Michaels. Do Lisa Michaels, Oregon, okay? And then, so let me just show you. Go. Lisa Michaels, Oregon, in order to find me. Because there's a lot of Lisa Michaels. But I'm the only one in Screen Actors Guild with Lisa Michaels. Ha ha. So anyway, so then this is the one, this picture. So you click on it. And then you go to my playlist. Okay, then go playlist. See playlist? Okay, then you go to this one. It says all vote by mail fraud exposed. And then you click on this one, and then you start watching. Okay? My goodness gracious.
Ever wonder why your fellow citizens appear to be suicidal when it comes to throwing out bad leaders and electing good ones? Ever wonder why no matter how good a candidate's campaign, no matter how much money they raise, nor how well qualified they are for the position, Republicans almost always lose? The good news is you're not that out of step with your neighbors. The reason voting trends have shifted so dramatically to the left in the past 20 years is because of vote by mail and the corrupt election system forced on our own county clerks after Congress enacted the Help America Vote Act. Stalin said that it's not the people who vote that count, it's the people who count the votes. Much like Soviet centralized government, our elections have become centralized so that a small group of government officials may control the results of our elections.
Okay, now then the audio, I have to apologize. The audio gets really bad, so I put in music to cover it up. Sorry, I just don't want to waste my time. I suppose I should transcribe it and revoice it. I do work at a radio station. But anyway, so then you'll watch that whole part. This breaks down. It tells you who's behind it, how it works, the whole system. That's part 1. Now part 2 is this part. It starts out the same way with the same video that you just saw.
Ever wonder
but
why
then you get over here, and then it shows documented proof.
to amend the Oregon
the
Constitution
invoices from the
that will be
printer who
referred to the
printed all the
voters
ballots.
to eliminate the need to elect county
Okay,
clerks
I guess I
statewide.
did that.
If passed, the state would gain full
Sorry. I guess I went too far. I went too far.
printing of their ballots for major general elections in the new year.
See, look,
almost
they
4
didn't bill them
months
until
after
the
the ballots were
following
delivered
year of
to
each
these
election,
counties.
so that they wouldn't get red
In the
flags that
2012
they were
general
doing
election,
something corrupt.
Washington County ordered roughly 338,000 ballots, despite only having about 292,000 registered voters. Yet, when Ryder Graphics finally delivered their print invoice in 2013 for these ballots, they were charged for 360,000 ballots. More evidence that this election fraud scheme is in place is that the Oregon Secretary of State and Multnomah County spent a full day with 3 attorneys to argue that they should not have to destroy leftover unused ballots after 8 p.m. on election night. During the hearing, they went to great lengths to discourage any change from ES&S to the Hart InterCivic election machines, as Clackamas County, the 3rd largest county in the state of Oregon, had done in the previous year. Now, the state officials are so fearful that their well-oiled election fraud system will be derailed by rogue county clerks who may seek to exchange ES&S with Hart that they have put forth legislation to amend the Oregon Constitution that will be referred to the voters to eliminate the need to elect county clerks statewide. If passed, the state would gain full centralized control of our elections and prevent the system from changing in such a fashion that they would no longer be able to ensure statewide Democratic victories going forward. The solution to this widespread election fraud system that appears to be in place: forward this video to all of your friends across Oregon and the country.
Okay, well, I would encourage everybody to do that. But I now want to move on to another travesty of justice, and that is our wonderful President Donald J. Trump. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. I was told about a group of military people that were going to expose the corruption back in 2013 before I moved out of Oregon. I just got fed up with Oregon because after I had run for office 6 times, twice for Congress, I had managed 12 political campaigns, 3 recounts, 1 full-day lawsuit against the crooked Attorney General, Secretary of State, Kate Brown, who's now the governor, Kate Brown. I just had it. I'm like, my vote will never count here. There's just completely corrupt city. And then I started getting blackballed from work. I wasn't able to get jobs in the media business, which is what I work in. I sell advertising time, which is why I knew that they were committing voter fraud, because every candidate is a product, is a brand. And brands that should have been winning were not winning. Brands that had better campaigns were winning. And very telling, nobody seems to notice, the candidates like Biden, you know how Biden did his lids and stuff like that and didn't even campaign while Trump's having these massive rallies? They don't need to. They haven't had to actually campaign for years because the fix was in the entire time. You've been hoodwinked. If you live in a blue state and you think that every one of your neighbors is a blithering idiot and keeps reelecting these pieces of crap, you're wrong. They have been rigging it. They've been rigging it and intimidating your neighbors, because who wants to fight with some crazy nutball who's mad at you because you're not voting for the same liberal they're voting for? It's just so much easier. Just go along to get along and buying this stuff, but it's not being bought anymore. But anyway, President Trump's exposing it, and so they have been. This video. So this was 4 hours ago. I won this election by a lot. And what is Jack Dorsey put on here? Official source may not have called the race when this was tweeted. Okay, so 821,000 people have seen it. Let's see if it changes at all. 756 have retweeted it, and 811 have made comments. So few more comments than there have been likes. So let's see if I can make a comment. Let's see. And then now I gotta see if anybody's commented back on anything of mine. Okay. Oh, she's great. This is my friend, Lisa. another Lisa. She and I went to the Trump rally together and just had a great time. She is an ex-ACLU. Let's look at all this stuff. Ex-atheist, feminist, evolutionist, union steward, ACLU affiliate, board member. I, I, I mean, she was about as left as you could get, and the Lord intervened in her life, and she gave her life to Jesus, and she's been trying to inform on the left ever since. And here she is. Her friend made this incredible video. I love this. Former Planned Parenthood. She's voting for Trump, and she's just great. Look at her. Look at her. She's just amazing. It's gotten 65,000 views. God bless her. God bless her. Anyway, boy, we sure had a lot of fun. Dropped the top on the convertible, drove down to Tulsa for the Tulsa Trump rally. That was a hoot. And they rigged that thing so badly. They brought in their thugs, and it got so scary that she overheard one of the police women say that they were a code red. So, sorry about the noise. They were code red, and so they had to shut down for security reasons. They had to shut down the security things. They couldn't let anybody else in. That's why it wasn't sold out like all the other Trump rallies. But anyway, let's go back to President Trump. I want to finish talking about President Trump. Okay, here's his thing. Okay, we just updated it. So, and this is the last one. This is 4 hours ago. So I'm looking that they're going to probably try to take down his account. And when he does, I just want you to be prepared. He does have control of the emergency broadcasting system. So he can go out in the emergency broadcasting system and bypass this crooked people in the news media. So why do I know that, let's see, that the news media, I've known for 10 years that the news media is completely complicit in the election process.
Ever wonder why your fellows...
They don't report votes based on what's going on at the election site, like this one. This is election site for Pennsylvania. They don't report that. They report what they're told to report and the way they were told to report. Like when I ran for Congress, I DVR'd all 3 of the major ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliates in Portland. And here I was running in the primary for Congress in a suburb of Portland, in one of the districts surrounds Portland. And my face and name came up for maybe 3 seconds on the NBC affiliate, and not once was it even mentioned. Not once was my race mentioned on any of the other TV stations. Okay, so that was in 2012. 2010, when I told Delia Lopez, because I had been studying election fraud for 10 years at that point, I said, I will help you run your campaign, and we're going to do some unusual things, because they had no money. Anytime we got a few $100s in, we went out and bought radio ads. Bought radio ads on the Spanish-speaking station. Now, she's as Anglo as I am, but her husband's of a Mexican descent, and people in the Spanish communities were absolutely thrilled that they could vote for somebody named Lopez. So she was giving out her actual cell phone number on the Spanish-speaking radio stations, and after the election, people were calling in tears, leaving messages, and I was just so upset. We don't know what happened. We all voted for you. We don't know how you didn't win. So they didn't want to report her name on the screen to alienate her the Hispanic voters in that district against their chosen rigged candidate every year, who's very similar to Joe Biden. His name's Earl Blumenauer. He's never had a real job. He worked in college in order to get move the election age down to 18. And then he got elected to some local position, and then he's been in elected office ever since, and he's become a millionaire doing it. So the corruption is just so fluent in Oregon. Anyway, go back to my playlist. Let me see. I've got years of election fraud right here. Years of election fraud. So let's see what we got once it loads up there.
See how
Are the electronic voting machines used across the
country vulnerable to hacking. One professor decided to find out for himself.
That's right. Joining us right now, Princeton University professor Ed Felton with a demonstration from his study. Good morning to you, Ed. Good morning. Also, right over there across the studio, you got the two kids
This is
from
the one where
Princeton
they
who
show
actually
you how.
did this.
This is the other way in which they rigged the elections, and this was in 2008. That they made this video, and that what they do is you vote. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time anyway. So let's see. They voted for George Washington or Benedict Arnold. Everybody voted for for George Washington.
Look at the date on this, February 2008.
So anyway, it shows that they can take every one of these computers has to have a memory card to store the number of votes for each candidate on it, right? Well, each one of those memory cards is sent back to Washington, D.C. to be certified with an agency called the Election Assistance Commission. When they're sent back there, they can have a virus placed in there that will switch the vote from President Trump to Biden. So, but we've seen our paper ballots. We put our paper ballots into the scanning machines that can then flip it and say that Biden won our precincts as opposed to we did. But if they hand count, and I found a candidate here that did win here in Kansas, she has the authority to ask for a hand recount of precincts. And so if the hand recount, people look at the actual ballots and see what the actual intent of is on the ballots, and it doesn't match up with the total from that precinct's scanning machine, voila, more proof of election fraud. So, that's going to be great. Two ways they rig the elections. They rig the elections by putting in fake ballots that have already been pre-filled out for Democrats, and they rig the elections by swapping your vote out inside election scanning machines on the memory cards. Both can be exposed, one by the watermark on the, like Steve Pachenik said, and the other one by simply hand counting precincts. And when you see that the ballots that are actually in the machine do not match up with the totals that are spit out of the machine that are stored on these rigged memory cards, then you know that there's nothing been wrong. So I believe it's all coming to a head. I believe we're going to have honest elections going forward. And praise the Lord. All thanks goes to the glory of God and to Jesus. Thank you so much for your prayers. If you find this at all interesting, please subscribe to my account. I can't put ads on it because you have to have like 2,000 subscribers, and I have less than 500. They take away my subscribers and stuff. So I never did any of this for money. I did this so that I could expose it because I just really can't tolerate injustice and fraud. It just eats at me. So thank you so much for your time and for watching, and have a very blessed day.